We're looking at wall intersections, junctions, getting these things cleaned up. You can see here the blue lines are not intersecting. This one's intersecting there, but we need the chipboard to come across here. So first thing, let's get these two to intersect. We're going to see it get all messy here. That's fine. We'll take it step by step here, try and resolve this. The next thing is let's put this reference line within the wall. So we'll put it to 1 3/4. Well, it was 1 3/4. We'll put it to 0. And we'll move it back into place at 1 3/4. Okay, now if we re-intersect these again, we're going to see that clean up there nicely. Okay, we do have to track this back around though, so just so we're sure that this and this are going to clean up as well, so we'll re-intersect those. That all cleans up nicely. Okay, so there's one issue. Let's come over here and take a look at this guy right here, figure out what's going on here. So reference line there, reference line there, reference line there, and then this one's just floating. So I think here the issue is that these two need to intersect before this one. Let's try this out. If we drop the intersection group of that one down a little bit, it does intersect after, but all the way to here. I also suspect that there are multiple walls. So yes, there's another wall that sits below this right here, and that's intersecting as well. So let's drop the intersection group of this one way down, and then that intersects cleanly there. We should be able to bring this all the way over to intersect as well, and it might not even need to have the offset. So it's a matter of juggling these stacked walls and their intersection groups for a condition like that. Okay, let's check out this corner. We're just going to go around systematically and resolve as many of these as we can. Oops. Another thing that I like to do is just to know what we're dealing with. If you select an area, I've isolated this down to just the walls. So if I select this area and hit Command Option T, I can see that there are 4 walls here. So I know that there's a stacked wall somewhere. It's probably this one right here. Yep. So let's take this and we'll drop the intersection group of this down as well, just so it's not going to interfere with what we have going on here, here, and here. Let's take this one and this one, and I just want to see what happens if we bump the intersection group of those two up a little bit. It's a little closer, not quite. Let's undo that. It's not really like that. I also suspect that this might need to be, the reference line might need to be on the opposite side, but let's do this. We'll take this guy and we'll set it to 0 and move it back 1 3/4. Now if we intersect those two, we're still getting that weird connection there. This one and this one seem to connect okay. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm wondering if we put the reference line of this guy to the core inside, shift it back into place here, and run this through. Does that help us at all? No, we're still getting an issue there. Well, even intersecting incorrectly, display order seems to clean that up. So that might be acceptable like that. Looks like these two might not be butting each other perfectly well. Let's see. There we go. Alright, so that's cleaned up. Let's come up to here and see what's going on here. Again, we'll just check and see how many we have here. I think they're back to 4. Yep, 4 walls. There's a wall. There's a wall. Take this wall and drop it down just to make sure we're not getting interference there. That wall is there. Let's bump this one back. Okay, so that'll go there. This will intersect here, and I think this is going to be probably pretty similar to the other side, where we can just pull this back to right there. Let's come up here, make sure that this didn't get screwed up. So we'll grab these, re-intersect those. This and this. Intersect those. Okay, another condition right here. So again, I think that it's just a reference line issue. If all of these come to the same reference line point, let's take the lower wall here that's stacked vertically, and again, I think dropping that way down just prevents it from interfering. Let's tuck this guy back in, set its offset to 0, pull that back to here, and that cleans up. If there's an issue with this and this, if you didn't want this to run through like that, we should be able to drop the intersection here halfway, and then we get that cleaned up. You sometimes get these skips where it tries to miter, but that at least gets us to where this wall runs continuous through, so that wall type shows running through. Anytime you change the reference line offset, you do have to go back to the corners, re-intersect those. I'm not going to get too picky about where the reference line of this one is, just trying to keep it tidy. Let's see, if we pull this to here, does that clean up? No, that wants to go all the way through, so that's why that's stopping there. That's a building material priority issue. We would have to adjust building materials to get that to fix. I did see over here in the elevator, this was probably the most problematic area. But again, I think we can tidy this up if we just kind of get control over the reference lines. So let's pull this back. Let's take this guy right here. We'll make sure it's not intersecting before anything else. We'll take it to 4. Oh, actually that was, that is the main wall. Yeah, that's not the lower wall. Oh, this is, yeah, that was correct. This is the lower wall. This is the wall that's being cut through. So this one we want to be 0. And we'll bring it back 1 3/4. Right, so now all 3 of these are coming together. That's all clean. This one right here, if we bring that to the same point, this might get a little bit wonky here. So this needs to intersect before those two. So if we bump up the junction order of this a little bit, we might need to actually adjust this a little bit. Let's see. Hold on. I want to see where this comes through the other side. Okay. I think this should still work. This is where we get a different condition on one side versus the other. So if this reference line here is there and that reference line is there, let's see what that gets us. So if we take this to the core inside, drop it to here, and that core was 3.5. We'll take this guy, offset its core 3.5. Right, then that comes to here. This one maybe comes to here. No, that one does want to run through. But that might be what we get. I don't know that we're ever going to get rid of the gyp board between here and here unless the building material that represents that air cavity were a higher building material priority. But we don't have the plywood coming through now, so that might be problematic. Let's try. So that is there. I almost wonder if we put this back to 0. I apologize for rambling, but so much of this is just trying things out. And that goes there, that goes there, that's there, that comes to there. Trying to get this gap filled is the problem, I guess. Let's see. It might be that we need a complex profile to fill this gap. It's a solution that I try to avoid if we can help it, but in conditions like this, it just might be necessary. So let's go through that. So I'm going to take these walls, I'm going to copy them. I'm going to go into Options, Complex Profiles, Profile Manager. We're going to create a new, and we'll call it Elevator Wall Patch. Alright, we'll grab this stuff and we'll paste these in here. Center of current view is fine. Okay, because we pasted it into a non-plan view, all of this stuff is now lines and fills. The fills are the building materials that were being used in these composites, so this works pretty well for quickly making heads or tails of how these composites need to come together. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and we'll crop that right there. Take this, split that right there. Okay, and there's also lines, but I'm not going to worry about those just yet. I just want the fills to come together in a way that makes sense. So if I take that line and that line, we'll intersect those. Just pull this stuff together. Right, so that one comes to there. We don't need that one. Let's split this down just a little bit more. Something like that. Get rid of that. What is that pen number? Pen 62. So let's grab all of these cores and we will give them an outline of pen 62. Right, and just going to consolidate down the fills a bit. Right, and then that outline pen there is pen 63. I do want the main fill there to be pen 62, but I can offset this and make this 63. Right, so that's going to match. In fact, it does look like basically all of the fills have pen 62 boundaries. So we'll do that. And then the outline pens are pen 63. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's go ahead and grab all of the lines now. If we delete those out, are we still seeing? Is there no fill here? Oh, I see. That consolidated. I see what's going on there. So these, we need to split those back up so that they heal. Pardon me for a couple minutes while I draft. Okay, now if we grab all of our lines and delete them, grab all of our fills, those are okay now. I'm going to clip these off right here. Grab this guy, pull this to here, that to there. Okay, so again, this is not something that I do a lot, but it is a trick that works for particularly problematic wall junctions. And this one is proving to be that. Okay, we're almost there. Just this corner right here to go. And we'll split that. And now it's just cleaning up these edges to have that pen 63. make that 63. I'm adding another segment here so that way it's not going to have, oh, not that, we want this, right? Two more to go, and then I think we're there. Okay. So we don't need this stuff. We don't need this stuff. We'll put this in a place that kind of makes sense. Something like that. Now, if all the reference lines are at the core, where they should be, we can put hotspots in here. Under the document menu, there's hotspots right here. We'll just put them at the end of every core edge. And then that one will be right there. Okay, so last thing I want to do is we'll just put this at something that makes sense. So that's 1 1/8. Let's move it to 6 inches. And this one from here to here. 2 3/4. That'll be 3 inches from here to here. In fact, let's just make them all 3 inches. Make sure that that fits here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so if we save that, allow it to be a column, go back into our plan view here. Put this column on the wall layer. Apply that. Oh, is it a renovation issue maybe? There we go. Oh, let's also turn off the crosshairs. So under floor plan, we'll say plane, and then under segment, no surface overrides. That should now match our 3D. So we'll put that there. And then if we move this to here, then those walls are going to clean up to it. Might need to get into the vertical a bit to see how that works with this lower piece right here, and maybe even revisit different profiles and things that could clean up a little bit better. But this should now patch all of that up, so we get a nice clean junction in all those locations. Let's just see what this is doing in 3D. Hope for the best here. Otherwise we might have just wasted a whole lot of time. Actually, that doesn't seem to be a problem with the lower bit at all. We're lined up there. Yeah, the only thing that we might need to do is solid element operations with the roof, but otherwise I think we kind of nailed that. Okay, so that's a particularly problematic area, but the complex profile as a wall patch does help a lot with cleaning some of that stuff up. Let's take a look at this issue right here. So there's a wall composite. This might be an issue of reference line position again. So those two are both outside. Let's see if we can pull that back. I might just end up undoing this, but we'll see. there. That, we don't need that. Let's re-intersect these two. And that comes to there. There's a little triangulation going on there, but I wonder if we bump up the junction order on that. That squares that off, yeah, because that would run all the way through. It's going to come intersect before the other two. If this needed to run through, again, it's a building material priority issue, so you'd have to see what the building material priorities are of this wall versus this wall for the different materials. Probably don't want to bump up the core. It's probably that airspace. Let's take a look. So if we go to our building materials with that wall selected, we're going to see highlighted whichever building materials are being used. So framing 2x4, plywood, I don't know what that air gap is. Oh, airspace right here. Oh, that's a 0. I would have thought that that would have carried this all the way through. I don't think I would jump to doing a wall patch for that, a column patch for that right out of the gate. Might just be a matter of playing around with reference line position. I wonder if it joins on that side versus the inside, if that makes a difference. Let's try that. Right, and then we intersect these two. And this might not make a bit of difference, but we'll try it. Yeah, it's going to do the same thing. Could be a column fill. Anyway, that, as far as I can tell, just see if I missed any wall cleanup. Should be the walls that need cleaned up. There's one right here as well. If we look here, this I guess probably should be cleaned up as well, where that gypboard is not coming through nicely. What we can do here, sometimes that helps. Let's go in here, back to our building materials, and let's go to the 2x6 wall, and let's just create a duplicate of this. And I think, so if we look at the gypboard, that's 300, so if the fur wall is, say, 299, and then we come in here, and oops, edit, composite. If we change this to the fur wall, and this again, it might have a domino effect. A lot of these things do kind of rely on each other. So that does allow that to run through. We get that weird triangulation there, but that might also be a reference line junction issue. Let's see if we take this, dump this down to 4 so it's not intersecting. Alright, so if this then turns to 0, let's just kind of follow this through, see if we can get it any cleaner. Pull it back to 1 3/4. Let's pull these back together. Pull this one back. Does that get us clean? No, it still wants to triangulate that. If we really have to get into the nitty-gritty, sometimes a fill, sometimes a column patch. I don't know, 9 times out of 10, I just basically leave it as is or mask it out with a fill. I know that's kind of a hack, but that's sometimes what we have to do. Let's track that that composite update that we made around and just make sure that that didn't affect the composite in any other places, right? Because that I think is the same composite being used in multiple places. I think we're good here now. Anyway, so I will save this as a PLN and send it back to you. And if you have time to watch the video, hopefully it helps next time you go through this.